All right, Ms. Nancy, it's good to have you.
I'm really glad to be here, Chris.
All right. Let's start with this.
Alrighty.
What are terrariums?
Terrariums are glass containers that are enclosed with a glass top because you want to be able to get your light in from the top and the side. Sometimes people will put, you know, a solid top here and then their plants grow weird.
Okay, grow weird.
Grow
okay.
weird, yeah, because they're growing towards the sun. And another thing, this is really my big pet peeve in life, is that people put succulents in a terrarium. And you know, succulents are desert plants or low moisture plants.
Right.
And that's a plant in a glass bowl. It's not a terrarium.
I got you.
So we got that out of the way.
All right. So what's so special about terrariums anyway?
Well, they really changed botany and agriculture in our world. People don't realize it, but before they figured out how to do this, when you would try to get something like from Asia to Europe, you know, sugarcane or you know whatever it is you're trying to grow, tea, you know, tea plants, you couldn't get them there because it was a 2 or 3 month journey. You're on this ship, nobody's taking care of it, it gets dried out, blah, blah, blah. When they figured out how to do this, it was like this whole new world because it's a mini greenhouse. And if you build it right and seal the top, it's going to stay moist until you unpack it.
Okay. So let's build one.
Alrighty.
Let's see how you do this.
Okay. Well, a big part of what I've seen about people who build terrariums and then fail is they don't do it exactly right. And if you do it exactly right with the right ingredients at the beginning, then you just sail on.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
Wow.
So first you want to start with some kind of gravel or rock bottom. And it's kind of, you know, your choice depends on your container and, you know, it's a design thing. But what's important about this is you make a layer down here that any extra water will drain down here and be held so that you don't get soggy up here. You want to be moist but not soggy. Okay. So then you use horticultural charcoal, which is basically, you know, in a water filter. You have activated carbon, same thing. So you can get this pretty much anywhere that, you know, sells gardening supplies. And you just kind of mix it in down here. Okay. And it keeps it sweet. So then, and this is the biggest thing that people don't do right. This is called Spagna Moss.
Yeah, it's pretty dry.
Yeah, it's very dry. I want you to be able to see the difference in it, okay? So you put it in here, it's like a sponge, and it holds the water. It also has kind of some antibacterial products to it, properties to it, so that it helps keep it clean and stable. Okay. So you want to get it totally soaking wet, and then you make a little layer and put it on top of your gravel. And you want to cover the whole thing because it holds moisture and it stops your soil from falling down here. Okay, I got you. So the last thing is the soil, and I make a special soil mix. 2 important things about it is that you don't want it to be, you know, a lot of soil mixes have a lot of food in it. Okay. You don't want a lot of food in it. You limit your resources in a terrarium. It's kind of like bonsai, so they don't grow out of control. Okay. And, you know, it's just too much for it. Okay. And,
so no extra fertilizers and things like that in the soil. I got you.
And you want it to be real wet. See how wet this is?
It's wet.
In comparison to that, which is what it looks like when you mix it. Usually you just kind of ponder your container, kind of look at your plants, and you kind of plan in your mind how it's going to come out before you start planting.
So you have to have the design up here.
It helps. It
helps.
It really helps. So usually, you know, I start with something that'll be a good anchor and be really pretty. It's pretty, right? Yeah. So I want to put it kind of close to the edge so you can see it. And I want to anchor it a little bit because I sure don't want it rolling around later, smacking my glass. And then you always want to have contours. You don't want it just to be flat. Nothing in nature is flat. So your eye is pleased by contours.
So we're mounding it up?
Yeah. So The first plant I'm going to put in is what they call a running plant, kind of like a strawberry, how they send out little shoots. And it's not exactly a vine, but kind of like a vine. And it's inclining that way.
Okay.
That's how it's growing. So I want it to come up this hill, so I'm going to put it down here and let it come up and kind of crawl over this.
Okay.
And I soaked it in water first just to make sure it was good and wet before it went in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it here. And then instead of trying to dig a hole and stick it in, I'm filling in around it.
And what kind of plant was it?
You know, it's some kind of pilea. Several of these plants are pileas. You want to really be sure to firm the plants in.
And not just cram it in, right?
You don't want to cram it in, but you don't want to leave any air pockets either. You want to make sure it's firmly placed. So I brought a couple of little figurines here. Got her little face dirty. And you always kind of want to think about proportion. I brought this bicycle to kind of show you about proportion. You want everything to be in proportion. Like this is a grown fairy, and this is a baby fairy.
All right.
You know, so that works. But if you tried to put a little bicycle with it, it's a cool bicycle, but it doesn't fit with any of these. So that would really bother your head. So I kind of thought maybe she would be up here. And again, you really have to place things so they don't fall over on you later. And then I wanted something tall behind her. Because ultimately, as this grows in, she's going to be a little hidden. Okay. Because fairies hide. You know, they get up in the wood.
They do.
So this is it's a pilea. They call it an aluminum plant. And it's something I keep and grow from cuttings.
Okay.
So you can see the roots in there.
System.
And see all these roots here. He really likes to grow and sprawl. And this will grow as tall as this container. Okay. And then it'll fall over, and it's pretty aggressive. I'll have to ultimately trim it back a good bit.
Right, do a little pruning, huh?
Do what?
Pruning.
Pruning, yes. So with this plant, I'm going to try and bring these stems down and cover them too. That's why I showed you the roots on it earlier. Kind of like with a tomato plant, you know how you plant as much of the stem as possible because then it'll root. That's what this guy will do. When you first plant them, plants get shocked by being moved. You know, they're not built to travel. So, you know, the first week or two, they don't look like much. They're just like, oh, I'm not sure. But then they get to know each other. You know, they make a little microcosm there.
They realize they've got to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm here, I'm staying. So,
it's coming together.
Yeah. You want to look at it right here. So I thought I would put some moss here. Okay. Just to kind of hold her space and make a little carpet there. And so again, it's a mini greenhouse. Okay. You know, it's pretty cool. This is a moss you could get from around here. This came from southeast Shelby County, the Collierville area.
Shelby County, all right.
And then I ordered actually from around the country because different mosses come from different places. So, and when I buy this moss, it doesn't look like this. And again, because it gets shocked. So again, you really want to firm it down. You don't want it having any air up under it. And your moss doesn't have roots, which is a fabulous thing. This is a Primula. It's a primrose. It's a tropical primrose. So it's kind of tricky to get plants out. This is a brittle plant. If you're not careful, these leaves will break on you. I like this plant because it blooms in a low light condition, but I have to be sure to put it in something tall enough that when the bloom stalk comes up, it has room to to come up.
Okay, I got you.
And it's just a pretty little plant. Nice little rosette. Let's turn it around this way. Because when you have a circle like this, you really want it to have interest from all sides.
Sure.
And speaking of interest from all sides, you need to put your terrarium where it gets good light.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it in direct sunlight because it'll get too hot. A lot of times I'll put mine in a table that's kind of below the window. So like if it's an east or south window, only that much of it is in the window.
Okay.
And then the light kind of drops down on it.
Gotcha.
Like filtered, because these all grow in the jungle in filtered
Sure.
light.
Good information. I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So people want to put them in bookshelves. Don't do that unless you put a plant light in there. You know, you can get a little plant strip light and put it in there, but you can't just put it over there and say, oh, well, there's a window 3 feet away. That's not going to cut it. So this is petrified wood. And again, everywhere I go, what you
Pick something up.
what's over there? So kind of put it at an angle so you have a little, you know, up to your design. So this is interesting. I told you this was a pilea.
Okay.
This is also a pilea.
Okay.
It's cute, huh?
It is.
So this this grows kind of in a mat. And it'll just, so I thought it'd be pretty to put it back here and then kind of let it kind of grow out around this. I think I'll put it here. What's kind of cool about putting it here is that it'll start creeping up the glass.
Okay.
And then you know, get the roots, and it's, you know, it's kind of cool. But this will be pretty aggressive. Once it starts growing, it'll end up being something. You'll have to trim back. And it's always better to keep it trimmed back than to let it get out of control and then try and take it back.
That's true of about anything.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I was just thinking that. Yeah. Anything in your garden, for sure.
Of course, it'd be real hard to get lopping shears, big lopping shears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that'll work down there.
Or chainsaw.
Yeah. It's filling up.
Yeah, and again, you know, you really have to not fill it. You know, there's a temptation to want to fill it.
Have a lot of plants in there.
Yeah, and have it look like the final product, but you have to have room to grow. So this is Spagna Moss. This is live moss. That's this live.
Okay. Wow.
And I get this for some people down by Chattanooga, big bags of it. It's a pretty aggressive grower too, but it's hard to resist. You've seen it all your life like that, and then to see it so beautiful like this.
Like that.
So see, now I'm thinking, do I really want to put anything else in, or do I want to maybe let it grow and move around? So I brought various kinds of little doodads that are the finishing touch.
All right.
So I was going to show you kind of basically how I do it, and again, it's not going to how it's going to look when it's done.
Sure.
But so this is a mix of kind of aquarium gravel, and then these beautiful stones. These are all kinds of semi-precious stones that have been tumbled.
Nice color.
And you know, I learned in nature, nothing is homogeneous. You know,
This is true.
if you were just put one color there, it would look so man-made. It's not funny. And you do better to mix it first and then put it down. You think, oh, well, I put a little of this and a little of that. Well, nature's random. So when you make a design, you want to have as much random to it as you can. And I always like to say that this is kind of like framing a picture.
Okay.
You know?
I can see that.
So like I said, I just kind of want to give you the idea of how it looks, because all of this is going to kind of settle around, and I'm not really sure ultimately how I want it to look. But, so we have these two little girls here, another little fairy. I see she's a little girl. So I thought what would be funny would be to put her over here where she doesn't even know there's fairies behind her.
Okay.
You know? And then this little one looks like it's kind of thinking. So I thought I'd kind of sit it up here where it's kind of.
No.
Yeah, all right.
You know, not everybody likes fairies and things like that, but, you know, they're a little sweet thing. I guess what else I would say is that over here, you know, we have this space right here, and might go ahead and put this here. It's similar to the one on the other side, but not the same.
It is, right.
So it's kind of a balance. So let me wipe it down a little bit.
Okay.
And I'll take a look at it. It's a good idea to keep washing the glass as you go, because the more you put into it, the harder it's going to be to get to your glass. So if you see that you've made a mess, go ahead and get it before you go on.
All right, Miss Nancy, so it looks good. Okay.
Well, thank you.
But how do we seal it?
Well, when you first finish it, I recommend sealing it with this plastic wrap, which never wants to cooperate. But it makes a really, really good seal, and you can close it and open it over the next month without having to worry about breaking your glass top.
Okay.
Because glass tops are hard to come by. You don't want to break them.
Okay.
But I do have a glass top that I thought I would show you what that looks like.
There you go.
I had this cut. A lot of times I just use a clear glass plate, but this looks a lot more elegant. And what's tricky about this is that glass is not necessarily uniform.
Okay.
So you see how this is tilting like that?
Teetering, right.
This isn't a perfect seal.
Okay.
So once or twice a year you might have to add water.
Okay. Once or twice a year?
Once or twice a year, yeah, yeah. And if you have one that's a true seal, where it fits tight, like a mason jar or something, you never have to water it.
You hear that? Never have to water it.
Own little water cycle.
That's it. All right. So thank you again, Miss Nancy. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To find out more information on this topic, just click on the familyplotgarden.com link in the description.